Welcome back, Bearded Nation. It's your bearded brother Matt here, back again with yet another trade dissection. I know it's been a little while since we've had one of these, and it's, a few weeks I think, but life has just been life, and with tax season and all that, I've been working harder, and I just haven't had the time to script and shoot one of these. But we're back, and so today, here we go. This dissection isn't going to be as big or as long as some of the others, and there aren't a number of huge names. But it is an odd trade, though, and I do find it interesting, so without further ado, let's talk about the Calvin De Haan trade. Now, anyone who knows Calvin De Haan is saying, but he was only ever traded to Chicago from Carolina. Why are you talking about him in a trade? Well, most of you, though, are saying, who is Calvin De Haan? Let's answer that first. Calvin De Haan is a defenseman who shoots left. He's a defenseman in every sense of the word. To make that point, he played 573 games and has only 131 points. I'll do the math for you. That's 0.22 points a game. He has, however, blocked 1,172 shots and has 1,177 hits in that same time period. That's about 2 blocks and 2 hits a game. So he's not going to give you any offense, but buddy, he will help you not get scored on. Now, why haven't I mentioned who he was played for or drafted by? Well, that leads to the actual trade. See, at the draft, every team thinks they have big brain. All of them think they're like 4 moves ahead of everybody. Now, one thing we have established in the past is that beyond a certain point, usually about 5 or 6 picks, the odds of hitting on a pick are more or less equal. So you do better the more picks you have. But if you think you're 4 moves ahead for everybody, sometimes you want to move up. In this case, Minnesota adhered to the philosophy of more is always better, and they were able to swing a deal with the Islanders, in which the Islanders would get the 12th overall pick in the 2009 draft, and Minnesota would pick up the 16th overall pick along with a round 3 pick that was 77th overall and a round 7 pick that was 181st overall. That 12th overall pick, Calvin De Haan, picked by the Islanders. That's it. I'm not kidding. That's the whole side of this for the Islanders. They literally got nothing else, because De Haan would leave in free agency. They got nothing else out of this, except several seasons of Calvin De Haan. Minnesota, on the other hand, would go on to do a lot better. So, that 16th overall pick, Minnesota would use that on Nick Leddy. So, Leddy was another left-hand shot defenseman, and to this point in his career, he's played 929 games and scored 383 points. That's not horrible for a defenseman. However, none of those points would ever be scored for Minnesota. A year after being drafted, he would be traded, along with Kim Johnson, to the Chicago Blackhawks for Cam Barker. That trade did not work out well for Minnesota. See, Barker was overpaid, and that was a whole saga with Chicago and the NFLPA. I'm not going to dive into that here, but let's just say that it was a thing. He played 1 season for the Wild. They put him on waivers with the intent to buy him out. He would sign with another team, and currently he's playing over in Europe. So we're going to skip the 77th pick for right now, and we're going to come over here and talk a little bit about that 2009 7th round pick, 181st overall, that was Erik Haula. So, Haula, as a 7th rounder, has actually put together a decent but quiet career as a bottom six guy. He's drafted as a left winger, but he's put in a lot of time at center. Currently, he's played 614 games and put up 281 points. 126 of those are goals. He's also managed 328 blocks and 557 hits. So pretty well-rounded bottom six guy. Good two-way game. Sadly, he only played 266 of those 614 games for Minnesota, as they would lose him to the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the expansion draft. Wah, wah, wah. Alright, now we have to talk about the 77th overall pick. That was used on, as you already saw, Matt Hackett. Okay, so what about Matt Hackett? Hackett was a goalie, and he wound up playing in a total of 26 NHL games. In those games, he started 20 and won 4 of them. Ouch. I mean, his overall stats aren't bad. He had a .906 save percentage and a 3.11 goals against average, so that's playable at least. It's not elite, but it's usable. Still, his best 2 seasons came in Minnesota, and then they traded him off to Buffalo. They would package him with Johan Larsson, a 2013 round 1 16th overall pick used on Nikita Zadorov, and a 2014 round 2 pick, 49th overall, used on Vaclav Karabachek. That all went to the Sabres for a 4th round pick, 91st overall, and Jason Pominville. Alright, let's talk about the pick first. The pick would be used on William Lagesson. Now, Lagesson has only played 60 games in the NHL to date, none of them with Minnesota. He was traded straight up to Edmonton for Ilya Bryzgalov. Bryzgalov was a decent goalie, and in fact, when he came to the Wild, he played 12 games for them, started 11, went 7-1 with a .911 save percentage and a 2.12 goals against average. Those are pretty starting quality numbers. It's pretty good. He did, however, leave in free agency to the Ducks, and then left the following year. Now, back to Pominville. A perpetual near finalist for the Lady Byng Award. That's the one given to the most gentlemanly player, aka the one with the fewest penalty minutes. And a distant contender for the Selke every year, Pominville was a pretty good two-way player. He played 5 seasons for the Wild and put in 327 games in that time. He had 206 points for them, 76 of them goals. However, after the 16-17 season, the Wild were looking to change some things up, and Pominville was traded back to Buffalo. The deal was Pominville, Marco Scandella, a 2018 4th-round pick, 117th overall, used on Linus Lindström Kronholm. Say that name 4 times fast. And in return, Minnesota would acquire the following: a 2018 3rd-round pick, 63rd overall, Tyler Ennis, and Moose Marcus Foligno. Oof. There you go. Ennis was a center. He played 73 games in Minnesota before being released in the offseason and signing with Toronto. Moose still plays in Minnesota and has been one of their enforcers and a leading presence in their locker room. The pick was used on Jack McBain, who refused to sign with the Wild after they drafted him, so they traded his rights to Arizona for a 2022 2nd-round pick, 47th overall, that was just used on Hunter Height. So Minnesota still has pieces helping them now and in the future in 2022 from a trade that happened back in 2009. That's smart asset management. So who do you think won? I mean, in my opinion, it's pretty obvious based on one side has a dissection and the other one is one dude. And he's not even a dude most people know. But, still, there it is. Next time, I think I want to go back to the NFL, because I finally found a trade that I think is interesting. We're going to talk about a team who trades away their QB and what they got, including a famous 5th round pick. I leave you with that and say, if you like what we do here, give us a like, give us a subscribe to help us out, share us around with your friends. Until next time, stay bearded. Peace.